Aloha and welcome to Knitted Paradise, where the needles are clicking and the yarn is squishy. My name is Lucia and you can find me online as Pearl of the Pacific. Today is Sunday, February 21st, and this is episode 110. So hello everyone and welcome to my knitting podcast. I have lots of knitting, so let's get going. We have Blow the Conch announcements. We have one more week of the January and February knit along, which is everything blue and white. So anything that you have knit or have finished rather during that time, you may enter into the thread in the Ravelry group. And we've got one more week, so I'll close that probably on the morning of the 1st to kind of cover everyone for that night if you finish anything at the end of the month. The other announcement is that I will be at the Knitting Pipeline Retreat next weekend. Yay! I'm so excited. I've already started packing and it's actually kind of in a pile right here because I wanted it out of the bedroom because it was kind of taking over the floor space there. Or I'd put it in front of the bed and then I couldn't get in the bed, and then I put it in front of the closet and then I couldn't get in the closet, and so I was like, I'm just going to move it out of the room and out of the way. But I picked up a sleeping bag and sleeping mat from a friend of mine today. So I will be very warm while camping in the church. So that'll be an adventure. He had fun showing me. He's super camper person and has all sorts of sleeping bag and camping gear. And so I've got a fancy, very warm sleeping bag, which I will probably overheat in, but that's okay. And then I've got a mat that actually fits inside a pocket in the back of the sleeping bag so that I won't like roll off of the mat. So I'm pretty set, I think, and they roll up really compactly, which was something I was concerned about because I realized I have to be able to carry all this stuff because I've got my clothes, which really aren't a whole lot. I've got all the socks that I'm bringing for the sock workshop. I've got some board games that I'm bringing and my knitting, of course, which doesn't seem like a whole lot until you put it all in a pile and you start packing it and you're like, oh my gosh, it's a lot of stuff. But it's okay, it'll be fun. It'll be an adventure, right? So I'm really, really, really looking forward to that. That'll be really fun. Next thing in announcements is Ayyam-i-Ha is coming up, which I talked about last year around this time because it happens the same time every year. And Ayyam-i-Ha is a holiday in the Baha'i faith, which I'm a member of. And it's our time of gift giving and charity and service and things like that. It's kind of these days outside of our calendar that are kind of this big celebration right before our 19-day fast, and then we have our new year on the first day of spring. So these are kind of like the fun times. It's kind of like the Baha'i version of Christmas is what I like to call it. And so in that honor, I'm going to be having a pattern sale. And it's going to be on Ravelry because that's where my patterns are. And each day is going to be a different pattern. And I think they were $1 off. $2 off? $1.50. I can't remember. I'll go check. Anyway, they will be some sort of percentage or dollar off. You won't need a coupon code. They will just be discounted. February 26th, which is Friday, will be the Twisted Sand mitts. The 27th, which is Saturday, will be the Triple Swell Hat. And then Sunday is Waves on the Sand Cowl, and Monday, which is the 29th, will be the White Sandy Beach socks. So those are kind of the 4 patterns that are in that series of beachy kind of themed things. The only other pattern I have out is the Ludmilla pattern, and I'm not going to include that this time. So if you have been looking at any of those patterns and or have them in your favorites or your queue, pay attention either on Ravelry and Instagram. I'll be posting there as well, kind of as a reminder of which patterns are which day, so you won't miss out. So that's coming up, and I'll have that in the show notes as well. I'll spell out like the date, and then the pattern, and with a link, hopefully. Links don't always work in the show notes, I've realized. They do in some places. I think in Ravelry they come through, but on YouTube they don't as much. And sometimes on my website they come through. It's tricky, and I don't always link everything. Is it a problem for you guys? I've never actually asked for feedback on my show notes. I make them for myself so that I know what I'm talking about, and then I just kind of copy and paste them over. And they're not super extensive. Things aren't always linked, but I usually have the name, at least, of the pattern and the yarn of the project I'm working on. So give me feedback on my show notes, I guess. I post them in all the places that the video is posted so that you don't have to go searching somewhere else for them, because it's pretty easy for me to just copy and paste them. But are they useful to you? Do you want them? I don't have a whole lot more time to make them super detailed, but I could maybe put a little bit more effort into making sure all the links work. So if that's something that people would like, then I would be willing to see if I can put that little bit more effort in to making all the links work. So let me know. Okay, let's get going with On the Island. I have cast on my Cattywampus hat, which is by Elizabeth Green Musselman, and this is out of some hand spun that was gifted to me by JoAnna of Knitspin Farm. And it's knitting up pretty nicely so far. It's a, you provisionally cast on one edge, and then you knit around, and then you Kitchener it at the end, I'm guessing. And I didn't read all the instructions. I know I'm supposed to, but I didn't. And I used the needle size recommended, but it's turning out a little looser than I think I want it. I'm worried about it being too big. And there's not a way I can try it on as I go, because it's like this is the edge that's on your head, and then it kind of like wraps around. And I don't really know how this works. Something like that, you know. I look very artsy there. Anyway, so I might rip it back and try it on a smaller needle size. But I love the yarn so far. It is nice and woolly, and I love the pops of color. So I'm very excited about that, and I will be taking that with me to the Knitting Pipeline retreat to have as kind of a bigger yarn project. And also I'm going to be seeing JoAnna, so yay! And I have that in my Knitspin Farm bag as well, with the sheep. So I may be ripping that back. That's why it hasn't got as much project progress. That was like an evening's worth of progress. And then I was thinking, oh, I don't know about the size. I might have to rethink it. I might just keep going and see what it looks like. It may turn out just fine. I have no idea. That's the kind of cool and weird thing about this hat, is that you knit it and then you figure out kind of what, I mean, I know you know what it looks like because of the pictures, but anyway. So that got a little work this week. The other thing that I started this week, these are all new cast-ons, by the way. I tend to knit in batches. I've talked about this before, but I'll kind of go on a finishing spree and then I'll cast on a whole bunch of new stuff. And I usually tend to, sometimes I'll cast it all on, but then I'll like zoom through one of the projects as a kind of a palette cleanser, and which happened to be the shawl, which I'll talk about a little later. And then I'll just kind of go through and methodically finish all those things. And lately I've been trying to go into my pile of whips and pick one of those and finish it kind of on my finishing spree, which has been nice to kind of get that pile of works in progress down, which has been working pretty well. It's not too terrible right now. There are some things that have been on the needles way too long and I really just need to finish, but my pile is getting lower than it was a couple months ago, so that's really good. Anyway, enough blabbering. The other thing I started was a pair of socks out of Leadingman Fibre Arts. This is their Showstopper in the Winter Night colorway. This is their colorway of the month for January. And the pattern is Expanding CommuKnitty by Megan Williams, who's also going to be at the Knitting Pipeline retreat. Oh, this is one reason I chose this pattern. Plus it looks really cool in this yarn. As you can see, the bottom is kind of striping. I realized as I was knitting this today, it's kind of TARDIS colors. That was super cool. These aren't for me, but I'm a little sad that they aren't for me, but I'm okay with that. The person who's getting these is going to love them. And I'm keeping them in my R2-D2 bag because it matches. I'm using my ChowGoo red corded, I think these are just the ChowGoo sock needles. I don't know what they're called anything. Maybe, I don't think they're the red lace ones. Maybe they are, but they've got the red cord. I've got like red little stitch markers. And I've got my awesome glow-in-the-dark espresso needle cozy thing from Kitchen Counter Crafter, who's also going to be at the Knitting Pipeline Retreat. Can you see a trend here of things that I'm working on? I figured it's kind of fun to have projects related to the people that I'm going to see. So I've been keeping the needles in here, which is great. It keeps them from getting tangled. And then I also have my red No Makers tape measure in there. It's kind of like the red dot. So she won't be at the Knitting Pipeline Retreat, but she's pretty nerdy and like Star Wars, so that's in here. So that's the tag, the Winter Night, like K-N-I-G-H-T. And I love this yarn. It's very, it's a good sock yarn for gifting yarn because it is very soft, but it still has that kind of sturdy feel that you want in socks. So I love these, and I'm knitting them one at a time because I cast it on. I've been pairing this when I've been I tend to do this where I start talking and then I have to like retract and start kind of back a few things to kind of clue you in on where I was thinking. And I've been pairing these needles with another of the same. I knit all my socks in size 1, but I have different lengths of cables, and this is a 32, and I have another 32. I'll show you in a second. And I've been knitting in tandem on the red lace and the, I think these are Addie's, I don't know, those are high, I don't remember, I'll look at them and look, but their cords are very different, and so I thought maybe that's, has something to do with my gauge issues, is that the needles that I'm using for both socks are very different. So I'm going to try to knit them one at a time, just so I have the locking stitch marker on the front to know how many repeats I did before I did the gusset increases on the bottom of the foot. And trying to keep good notes of what I did on this sock so I can repeat it. And so I'm trying to knit them one at a time to see if that'll solve the gauge issues, if they're on the same needle but not at the same time. I don't know why I can't knit things at the same time and them not have the same gauge. It's really odd, but whatever. Okay, the thing that is on my other set of needles is my Julianna's Fibre Lucid Dream Sock Continuing Gradient in the I Smell Snow colorway. Oh. And I'm trying a new toe with these, as you can see. I don't know if I'm entirely happy with the toe. I love the yarn. Oh my gosh, it's so squishy and thick, and I love it. And so there you can kind of see, if I shield out the sun, it's really sunny today. It's pretty cold still, but it's sunny. Yesterday it was really warm. I opened up all of the windows in the apartment and it was glorious. Okay, it was like 50 degrees, but that's like summer here, or at least it feels like it at this point. So this is how the yarn knits up in the gradient of like the blue to the white to the blue and then this white. But the white has these gorgeous like little very faint pops of color, which I absolutely adore. So I've been knitting these kind of at night, but so I've been I have it on my Sun Valley Fibers sock or yarn buddy. They're also going to be a knitting pipeline. And so I've been keeping that by my bed as kind of a knit a few rows before I go to bed kind of thing. But I did this, so this is supposed to be kind of a one side foot thing where like this is my big toe, obviously, and that's the slope. But I don't know how I like how it feels. I tried it on and it kind of feels weird on the inside with the increases every row. So I don't know if it's just because they're too close together or what. So I may rip that back and try it again. It fits well, but it's kind of like bunchy here and tight. I mean, maybe just because my increases were tight. I don't know. that's why it hasn't gotten too much attention in the last few days. It's because I've been contemplating that toe. And I really want these socks to fit well because I love the yarn. All right, one more thing that I have on the needles is I recast on my test knit of my shawl design, which is being test knit right now by 3 other people as well. And I think some of them are almost done, which is really exciting. But I've been doing my own in a Leading Men Fiber Art Soliloquy Gradient in the Rubber Duckie colorway, which is these gorgeous yellows. And ta-da! So this is how far I've gotten. And I'm not testing any specific pattern sequence. I'm just kind of going with what I feel like, which is kind of nice. I mean, that's the idea of the pattern, is that you just kind of pick which one you want as you feel like it. So like last night I did a stockinette section because I didn't feel like doing cables. And this is what it was. And I just joined in the second ball. So it comes in like these separate skeins of yellow. Ta-da! And I finished the first one and joined in the second one, which is this one here. And I think this one's the third one, fourth one, and that'll be the last one. It's kind of hard to see the difference. It's really hard to see it in person. Last night I had to sit there like staring at them, wait, which one's the next one? And it was tricky. Also, I'm keeping it inside my little skein bunnies in front of the moon bag. That's a better picture of it. And it's yellow inside and it's got little moon faces. It's adorable. I love this bag. But it's yellow inside, so I've got like yellow upon yellow upon yellow. It's fabulous. I love yellow. So I think I'm going to take that to Knitting Pipeline Retreat. I think I might like print out the pattern to see. That might be like a car ride kind of thing where I can look at the chart and knit. But I want to show it to Steve, who is going to be at Knitting Pipeline Retreat as well. I have the finished one that I knit a while back, and I guess it wasn't that long ago, which I'm going to wear as well to kind of show it off. And I'd like to take that one as kind of the second one, because I might give the first one to them as a booth sample to have for the upcoming, like when the pattern is released and such like that. And I'd like to have one for myself to wear. So, ta-da, that's that. And that's it for On the Island. That was a lot of things. I did a lot of, it seems like I didn't feel like I had a ton of knitting time this week, but I just knit on a lot of different things, which was kind of fun. All right, so set sail. Last week I showed the Secret Garden shawl, but it was not blocked, so I thought I would show it to you again, blocked, because it made a huge difference. So here it is, in all its glory, and I'm in love with it. So the pattern is by Alana Dakos, and the yarn is Western Sky Knits Magnolia Sock in the Misselthwaite Manor colorway. And this is part of a little skein kit. Ta-da. And I realized when I was blocking it, when she blocked it, she so I can do this, pulled these out and blocked them instead of these. I pulled these out and blocked them and like pulled them out. And I think next time I block it, I will do that. It's okay how it is, but I think I would like these kind of out more. It's all right. It looks good. I realized I need more blocking boards because I didn't have enough to fully stretch this out. I also can't find my T-pins. I don't know where on earth they could be. So I was sitting there going, oh, and I was already soaking wet. I had already soaked it and I had laid it out and I had put the blocking wires through it and I was all ready. And I'm like, where are my T-pins? Could not find them. I searched everywhere for my T-pins. Cannot find them. My husband's like, why don't you just use push pins? Like, we have a ton of those. Just use those. I was like, oh my God, that's brilliant. So I've been using push pins since I can't find my T-pins. Works for me. It still pins it into the board. They're a little thicker, I think. So at least little bigger holes, but whatever. But I do need some more blocking boards. I've realized that I'm always like 1 or 2 short, so I might just get a whole nother set. The other thing that I realized is because I didn't do the border increases correctly, my border is a lot thinner than it's supposed to be, which means that like there's this, it goes up a little bit in the middle. You can't really see it, but it does go up a little bit in the middle. But I don't care. It's still really pretty. I'm trying to figure out how to wear it. It's a different kind of shape for me. I can wear it just like this on top of the other shawl, of course. But I feel like this doesn't show it off to the fullest degree. Oh, I guess I can do that. Okay, that's really warm now. Oh, that's not so bad. Well, like when I put a coat on, it doesn't work as well, but anyway. So I've got to figure out how to wear it. I do have a kind of leaf-looking shawl pin that might work with it. But oh, it's got cashmere in it, and it's so soft and drapey. Oh, I love it. So that is done. And the other thing I finished was the thing I'm wearing, which you never saw. It was on and off the needles this week. And it is the Multnomah shawl by Kate Ray. And the yarn is Brew City Yarns in their premium draft sock in the Urban Coral colorway. And I got this at Vogue Knitting Live this past year for a review for the podcast, and here is their card, Brew City Yarns. And they were super nice. I loved talking with them. They also had a lot of nerdy yarns as well, which I was very tempted by. But I kept getting drawn back to this one. So it's 400 yards of 80% superwash merino and 20% nylon. And it's fingering weight, brewcityyarns.com. And I love how the tag, I think I did this on other ones, that this was tied around the skein. It matched the skein, which I thought was a really nice touch. I mean, they didn't have to do that, and that was really awesome. And so this is a, it was funny because when I got this yarn, it is a sock yarn, and it does feel sturdy enough for socks. But when I got it, I was like, this needs to be a shawl. And it just kept sitting. I think it was back here last week. I had a winding party after the podcast last week, so some of this has disappeared and been replaced with other stuff because it looked a little bare earlier and I was getting ready to podcast. I'm like, maybe I should add some more stuff there because I wound a bunch of stuff last week. But I was thinking, I'm like, oh, I want this to be a shawl, and I just didn't know what shawl. And then all of a sudden, and the Multnomah one had been in my favorites for a while, and it just jumped out at me. It was like, I need to be this shawl. I was like, okay, that sounds good. So that's what I did this week. I knit this shawl. And I did increase the body, one more repeat. If you go on, it's a free pattern, and you increase the body to a certain number of stitches. I thought it looked kind of small, and so she said if you want to extend that, you could knit, she said, the pattern repeat is, I think, like 18 stitches, so, like, increase however many rows that was. Anyway, it's on her website. It's linked in the pattern. If you go look it up, it's there. And I also did 3 stitches in the middle instead of the 5 that she has on the pattern, because I liked that better. I didn't like the super thick spine. Ta-da! And it's pretty long. It's blocked out. It is my wingspan, I guess. Yeah. Ooh, there's an end I didn't clip yet. Actually, I blocked it yesterday. And then I wore it to choir this morning without having clipped any of the ends, and I just clipped them while at choir. Yeah, but I really like how it turned out. It's this feather and fan. It's just a garter stitch body. It was super easy, and the nice feather and fan. And this yarn is amazing. I love it. It's really soft. At this gauge, I think I did it size 4. Maybe? It's really actually kind of drapey, which is nice. I mean, I guess fingering is kind of drapey at this, but it feels sturdy, but still soft enough to wear against your skin. Because some sock yarns that feel sturdy are not ones I would wear against my neck. Some of them are, but it's soft and drapey, but still feeling sturdy. So I feel like this would make really good socks. And I may have to get some more of this in a different color to make some socks out of. I'm really happy with this yarn. I really recommend it. They have a lot of normal-ish flavored colors and then some nerdy ones too. They had a bunch of Harry Potter ones when I was there, and I think they just did some Sherlock-inspired colorways, which I was really tempted by, let me tell you. I really recommend it. And I love these colors. It's this gorgeous coral and like a silvery gray. And it's funny because I have this orange sweater that I got as a hand-me-down from my cousin a while back. And I would never, ever have bought this sweater for myself. I would never have looked at it on the shelf and been like, yeah, I want that color sweater, because it's not a color I'm drawn to. But I wear that sweater quite a lot. It's kind of weird. And it goes with a lot of things. Like, it goes perfectly with this. I mean, I'm not wearing it today. I'm just wearing it like a cream sweater. But it goes, I have another shawl that has that orange in it. Somehow that orange works with me. It's weird because I don't wear a lot of orange because I have red hair, and warm tones just don't look good on me. It's okay. I know what looks good and what doesn't look good, and that's one thing that doesn't. It looks great on other people, not me. But I really love this orange. And it was funny because I was in the booth talking to them, and they're like, okay, which skein do you want? And I kept looking around, and I really wanted to take one of the Harry Potter ones, but I kept going back to this. She's like, I thought you were going to pick that one. Like, how did you know? I wasn't wearing anything orange, anything that would indicate that I like this color, but I love it. I love this color. And one of the skeins I picked from Two Guys Yarn Company for the my next shawl design is the kind of this tangerine-y, coral-y color. I'm very excited with that, and I paired it with a turquoise. It's going to be beautiful. I wound that up as well. And if that wasn't slated for a design, I might have paired it with this yarn as like a 2-color thing. But I'm really happy with this. I really like it. It's kind of subtle and really pretty. And this pattern really shows off yarn. So if you're looking for a pattern for some variegated yarn, this looks great. Ta-da! And it's very simple, which I liked. It was easy. I didn't have to pay too much attention. Although I kept losing track and the pattern rows down at the end. I have to go back. I'm like, why am I off by 1 stitch? I'm like, because I can't count to 6. Apparently. It's okay. I figured it out. Oh, and I ran out of yarn right at the end when I was binding off. So luckily I had another gray in my stash that I could borrow the last few inches. Maybe it was like 6, 7 inches. It was probably more than I care to admit. But it worked out. As I'm like binding this off, I'm sitting there going, that's not going to be enough yarn. But I love so I used the full skein of yarn for the shawl, and I love the size. It's the perfect size for like kind of late fall or spring. In winter, I've been wearing my bigger shawls. So I want to make some more of those kind of like 2 skein gigantic shawls. It's funny because when I knit them, I'm like, oh, this is so big. And then I keep being drawn to them because they're also really warm. Okay, enough of set sail. Let's move on to from the mainland. I got a beautiful and wonderful package from Brigitte, who is a viewer from Slovenia. And she asked if we could do a swap, and I said yes. So she sent her package. I'm still working on hers. I feel like such a slacker. Which is like other things have been coming up, and all of a sudden I'm like, She's like, I sent your package. And I'm like, I haven't sent yours. I'm working on it. Don't worry, it's coming. So she sent me some lovely mini skeins. Ta-da. I don't know what they're, they feel like sock, like a merino nylon or wool nylon of some sort. They might just be 100% wool. Not entirely sure. They're very pretty. And she sent me some tea, some lovely Slovenian tea. So I'm going to try some of that this afternoon after I'm done recording. And some candy. So I'm going to try that out. Some Sumi, maybe? I have no idea how to pronounce that. Maybe it's just Sumi. I don't know how to pronounce the S with the thing over it. Upside down roof, or upside down Chinese hat thing. I should look that up. I'm half Czech. You'd think I'd know how to pronounce these things. I don't. Just this adorable pen. Running out of places to put these things. Oh, here, we'll put them there. And then she sent me some little crocheted things that she made. Beautiful. I think you can use this as coasters, but they're almost too pretty. And she sent me one that, this one looks like a turtle. And it's got little eyes on it. I love it. It's so cute. Got little feet. Sorry, I'm covering one of the eyes. There it is. It's kind of hard to hold it up. Isn't that pretty? It's so cute. And last but very not least, maybe I'll pull them out of here. Hold on a second. She sent me a magazine of patterns, which will be fun to explore. They're all in Slovenian, so that's going to be interesting. But there's lots of lovely pictures. They're all accessories. So I will try my hand at some Slovenian patterns. It'll be fun. And this is my favorite. Look at these little crocheted flower earrings. Aren't they so cute? Oh my gosh, they're so cute. So she made all of these things, which is absolutely beautiful. I'm not a crocheter, but I know this is not super easy. And they're absolutely beautiful and stunning. So I will be wearing these at the Knitting Pipeline Retreat to show them off because, wow, look at that. So pretty. And they're so light, which is what's so cool about them. I don't wear big earrings very often because they're heavy and I have tiny ears. So I think these will be lovely because they're not heavy. They're so sweet. And this is I love this color. It's like a seafoamy minty green. It's very light. I can block out the absurd sunlight over here. Can't see it. But those are absolutely stunning. So those will be going with me to Knitting Pipeline. And I think that's it from the mainland. I did make some things. Oops, I'm gonna move that. I got out my bag of buttons to take with me to the Knitting Pipeline Retreat because Paula on her last podcast was talking about how everyone gets a bag at the Knitting Pipeline Retreat and there's, like 120 people there and we all have the same bag. So it's important to distinguish yours in some way. The same thing happens at the choral festival that I go to every year, or that our choir director here puts on every year, and I go. And everyone gets a bag, and inevitably, the first night or the second morning, 20 people have lost their bag, and everyone's looked like everyone else's, so you have to dig through everyone's bag to find it, and it's a nightmare. What I usually end up doing is taking the bag and not using it. Using one from, 3 years ago, or just using a completely different bag so that mine doesn't get confused with everyone else's, because when you have 230 people with the same bag, it just gets insane. So I totally understand Paula's point about bring something to distinguish your bag in some way. So I'm taking a whole bunch of buttons so that I can put them all on my bag, or maybe a ribbon or something to really say, this is mine, or write your name on it or something. So I pulled out my buttons. But I also, it was on top of this other thing. I made some stitch markers, which I'm really happy with. And let's see if I can pull one out. Ta-da! I have a ton of beading stuff because I used to make earrings and sell them on Etsy, and I haven't done that in a very long time, but I have tons of beads, and I have some wire. I was wanting to make some with a a lobster clasp, but I only have 5 clasps. I have tons of fishhook thingies for your ear, but no clasps. But I had some crimping beads, and I had some cable things. So I made them that way. Ta-da! And there's a whole bunch of different ones. They're not all the same. But these are, these are Czech class cathedral beads is what they're called. And I love them. I have a whole bunch of them. So I made some ones in those beads. And then I have, like here's a couple different ones. Like pink swirlies and then some green cubey things. Anyway, I made a bunch to take with me to the Knitting Pipeline retreat to give out, kind of as gifts for my friends that are going to be there. And, oh, I found some that I had made a while back. These are kind of heavier beads, though, so I think that's why I don't use them very often. And also I realized that on the bottom, it's important, I'll take one out here. Show you. I'm trying to show it through the bag isn't going to work very well. But I have no idea if you can see that. On there's the crimping bead there, and then the cord. If you cut the cord after the crimping bead, because it's metal inside, it tends to snag on things. And so I learned with the new batch that you clip the cord and then crimp the bead on top of that crimped or the cut edge, and then you don't get the snagging. So I may have to figure out a way to like crimp another one over this or sand it or something. Anyway, so that's why those haven't been used, because they catch on things. But I had some fun yesterday spreading out all my beading stuff. I had to lock the cat out because he was, of course, getting into everything. He was like, "Ooh, string? I can play with that." I'm like, no, you need to get out of here. He was very upset, but whatever. So that was kind of fun. I may do some more of that. We'll see. It really wasn't that much of an effort to get down on my beading stuff. I'm looking at it. It's up there in the closet on the top shelf, feeling a little neglected, but it was fun. So I'll have those to give out as well. And that's it for this week. Yeah. Didn't have a whole lot of exciting happen this week. I had work, and then I was home. My husband was home, actually, quite a few evenings out of this week. It was kind of weird. I'd come home and be like, "Oh, you're here. You don't have things going on. We can do things together," or it's kind of weird. We don't often have that in the evenings. We either both have stuff going on, like together, like choir, or he has things or work or whatever. And so it was kind of nice to spend some time with him. And the weather was beautiful this week. Friday and Saturday were gorgeous. Today it's not so bad. The chill is back in the air, though. Yesterday it was cold, but you don't have that like bite that's in the air, whereas today it was a little bitey. It's not that like bone chilling kind of cold, but that's when you get into like negatives. So we aren't there yet. We're supposed to get some snow later this week, which will be pretty. I like snow. And yeah, don't have a whole lot going on this week except for the Knitting Pipeline retreat. We have work is not terribly exciting. I've been working on some projects that I'm really wanting to get done. One that we thought was done and then came back to bite us a little bit, and things that are not done, and we thought it was ready for testing, and it's not quite there yet. So we're working really hard on getting that ready for testing. And then we can jump back into the project that we want to be working on, which is kind of like the next thing. So that's really what's going on in my life, is work and Knitting Pipeline retreat and knitting. Yeah. And yeah, so I won't bore you too much with stuff that's going on in my life because it's not that exciting. Anyway, I will see you all next week. I will be back on Sunday. I'm going down Friday and coming back Saturday, so I'll be back on Sunday, hopefully recording a podcast. I hope to record a little bit while I'm there. We'll see how busy it gets. I have no idea. I've never been to a knitting retreat, but from what I've heard, once you get there, it's just kind of like overwhelming, and people everywhere, and talking and hanging out and knitting, and all sorts of things and you don't really have time to take pictures even or record things. So we'll see how it goes. I'm going to take my computer and my phone, although recording things off my phone doesn't tend to work terribly well. But we'll see. I may throw in some things here and there. Hopefully some pictures. I'm going to try to be good about taking pictures while I'm there. So follow me